To set up GitHub Codespaces. It allows us to write code without having to download anything to our local computers. It saves us a ton of time during the hackathon. So to do that, you go to our front end code. This is frontend ohack.dev. I'm going to click on the code dropdown. I'm going to click on create codespace on develop. I'm going to have to wait a little while here because now what it's going to do is start to create a virtual machine. It actually uses the same virtual machine information that is stored inside of this dev container folder. We've already pre-configured it. It's pretty simple. All it has is this really basic Docker Compose file, really basic dev container.json file. The only thing that's important here is this feature that uses this one single thing. And then the only other thing is that the Docker file that creates it is creating this JavaScript node from Microsoft Dev Container. And that's all that you need. By default, it'll use this to create your own container. So you see it says image found, it's building a container, and I kind of have to wait now for maybe like 30 seconds to a minute for this to be created. This is my URL that's going to be temporary, and it's already done. So now I have my VS Code enabled with my code from the front end. And the only thing I need to do now to get it up and running is a couple things, actually. I have to first do an npm install, npmi, and this takes whatever's in my package.json and it pulls it down and it starts building. Over here it says, would you like to periodically run git fetch? Definitely, I think that's good in case there's any code that's updated out in the develop branch. See, I'm in the develop branch. It'll go ahead and pull that down for me, so I don't have to keep pulling it down. And after npm install is done, I will go ahead and run the code. What you'll see too is really there's this template which has an example of what your .env file will look like. This is the file that we're going to use. It's going to be read by the code. It's going to be populated with these variables. So this is environmental variables. And typically you're going to have like some secrets in here and some other things that you'll see. Okay, so this is done. Now I'm going to do npm dev run. And it's like, no, you don't know what that is because I always forget. So it's actually npm run dev. And it's going to try to run. It's going to start running on localhost 3000. It's going to take that port actually and open it in the browser. And it's going to allow me, if I click on ports here, it says that the 3000 is exposed, localhost 3000, it's exposed to this URL, this address. Well, when it runs, I get a blank page and I get an error. It's missing environment variables. So that is a good tip off that I'm missing that. So I'm going to right click over here, do new file. I'm going to add a dot. The dot is very important because it's a hidden file and it's going to look at that file when it runs. So I created .env. Now I'm going to populate it with some of the environment variables that I already have set up for this. So I'm going to copy paste that in here. Really the only thing that matters is everything below here doesn't change. And this is all created just as a test temp environment. So don't need to change any of this. This is just so it allows auth0 to run, and that's pretty much it. The choices you have is option A, where once you start writing code for the backend, you're going to replace this URL with your backend GitHub Codespaces URL. And then for now, we're just going to use a test backend that I've already set up on Heroku, and that should get us off and running. So I'm going to save that, and I'm going to come back over here to my terminal, and you'll see that as I save, it already has reloaded. I go over here, and now everything is up and running, and we're good to go. So as I make code changes, it's actually going to update my front end in real time. So just so you can see that, let's change hey there. Let's go over here. I'll do a search and I'll search for hey there. So here's that code and I'll just put a bunch of A's in front of it and I'll save that. And it says it's compiling and it's done and it should have redeployed. And now I see my code instantly ready to go. So that's how we use GitHub Codespaces. Pretty straightforward. You had on the free tier for GitHub, you have 160 hours, I think, of usage till they ask you to pay. So this is great for our hackathon. You'll never have to set up anything on your laptop or your desktop. Everything is already ready to go. Thanks for watching.